Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, good evening. Welcome to David Nair on Air, all the way from down under Brisbane, Australia. I understand this event is being viewed by audience across Australia, South Africa, UAE, USA, Canada, UK, Europe, Malaysia, Singapore, Southeast Pacific, and last week I was told people from Russia are viewing it. My gosh, this is excellent and powerful. I am thrilled to have the opportunity of exposing some top personalities from across the globe. And today we have one such person. Give me some time and I'll introduce that individual to you. David Nair is a peak performance coach, keynote speaker, author of a book titled IXL Wired for Success. You can see that on the top left-hand side here. I have put the book together after working with coaches and individuals over the last 20 years. Ladies and gentlemen, my focus is generating small shifts that can generate huge leverage in a person's performance. And this is why I searched the globe to bring some of the top speakers and people who are not just speakers or people who have just watched YouTube, but people who have done the walk before they're doing the talk, which means they are real life people who have been digging the trenches to actually share with you their experiences. Today, we have a gentleman, a very close friend, an exceptionally wonderful individual, down to earth, a strategic, well-disciplined, humble human being, all the way from Dubai, UAE, a person with wealth of experience in the public life and in startups, particularly startups. And one of the key things that I have is Mr. Ahmed Obiad. He has the wealth of experience in interacting with people from numerous countries. And Ahmad today is going to share his experience on cross-culture sensitization, particularly from the aspect of museums and how it has helped him as an individual see value in people and how his experience has helped people come up in life too. Ahmed is a former member of the Federal National Council of UAE, founder of Crossroads of Civilization of Museum, and a founder of the Strategic Plan Club in UAE. Please, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Ahmed Obiad.
Thank you.
Excellent. Welcome. How are you, Ahmed?
Fine, thank you. Good to see you, David.
Very good to see you after all this time to connect again and say hi.
And also, I would like to welcome all the guests here with us in the studio and also outside the studio.
Yes, yes, very much.
I'm very honored and privileged to be with them.
Thank you. Pleasure is ours. And at the same time, for you to share your experience. It's a great pleasure. Ahmed, let's start off by having a quick chat about just yourself, your background, what you've done, and where you see yourself going in relation to your purpose in life.
About myself, as you know, that I am right now, I'm mostly focusing on the museums. This is my life right now, but mainly I come from, a very humble family, and our family, we were doing, we have a background in different areas, but the most thing that we focused on, education. Education was very important for us. It is the key for us, to be more enlightened and to lead our way to become more independent and to, have the strategy and the art of earning what we have right now.
Right.
So we come from different backgrounds of that as a family. And also, as you know, I come from the city, called Emirates of Dubai, which is in the United Arab Emirates. And that we have, as a city, the part of the city that's very cosmopolitan, but we have people from all around the world coming here. As you know, as the city in the United Arab Emirates, we have more than 200 nationalities. Imagine that, when you are living with people from different countries, different backgrounds, different religions, all of that, that was part of the culture and the lifestyle that has shaped my personality and, made me become, one of the, hopefully, a good citizen. A good citizen in terms of, adding value, in terms of, contributing to others, and also in terms of, being part of the community.
Right.
So my education background is political science and economics from the United States, and that was, the land of knowledge and land of where you learn a lot, knowledge, and good thing you learn how to to be independent, how the art of compromise, and also I did my master's degree from the Wollongong University, an Australian university, which was in Dubai, in quality management, and this combination helped me a lot to shape my career path, help me my career path. Then I thought, as a human, it's very important for me to learn about the psychology, So I did, NLP, and also the trainer was Terence McLindon, who came from Australia, but he's one of the three people who are with Richard Bandler and John Grinder in establishing the art of NLP. And I did like morphopsychology, and I studied lots of things there, just to help me to understand people more and to focus also on the behavior. Because at the end, I'm a human being. I need to know how to deal with myself, deal with people around me, and how to appreciate that each one of us is different, and how to see the beauties and strength in each one of us. So so all of these have helped me to at least to live happy and simple but very happy life.
Right. Ahmed, one of the key things I'd like to also know is, who were some of your role models when you were growing up? Let's say when you're going through secondary, more than that, the tertiary school, to formulate your ideas of what you're going to do and where you're going to go in life.
Well, there are different people in my life. My father was a role model as a leader. For me, my father was, his strong personality definitely affected me a lot. I always wanted to be like him. And my sisters, they each one excelled in their field. So I have my sisters have great influence on me. Actually, they raised me since I was a child. My mother passed away when I was 4 months old. So that was very important when I had my family. So we have good family solidarity. And also in the community, we have, in terms of, the open-mindedness, in terms of leadership at the higher level, we have our founder, Sheikh Zayed at that time. At our local level, we have Sheikh Mohammed Rashid also, as a leader. He's in sport. He always, there's no limit for him. He always wants to aspire and do the best. And he says, if you are not going to keep up with being the first, you're going to be behind. So that's why. So we have the culture. There are lots of things. We come from a kinship society. That based on the relationship. All of us are related. All of us are part of a society that we try to make a balance between our interests and the society. But my role models also change. It depends where I am. It depends on the situation. Yes. So it's not specifically. And I like to do multiple things. It helped me a lot to to always open mind to see the beauty in each person. So there's no one is fixed forever. It's not just one person I follow forever.
Right. Now you mentioned a few values as you evolved into life and got into business. How did your values grow, and what were some of those crystallized values that you hung on to get your business up and going?
I mean, first of all, to be myself. For me, to be a true leader, to be great, to be whatever the people call it, they aspire for. The best thing I can be is be myself. So here, I can have harmony from inside and harmony from outside, as we say in NLP. To have congruency. So that's the great value. Not to change, not to be hypocrite, not to change for other people. And do what I think I believe in it, regardless what other things. Second, to have passion, sincerity. If I do something, I don't do it, just to finish my job or to impress others. This with passion, you become an expert. You become a wise person. If you don't have the passion, the sincerity, it doesn't matter how many books you read. Doesn't matter how many skills you learn. But if you don't really have the passion for it, you will not gonna excel. You talk about excel. I had a company I founded in 2000 called Do Excel, Dubai Excellence. That was the company of my training. Yeah. So we have the same mind thought. So passion and sincerity is very important. And also, always, I don't like conspiracy theories. I like to, if I deal with people based on what I see. It's not my job to be a god. I'm not a god. I don't like to spy on people. I don't like to, why this person doing this? He or she wants to do something else. I try to be myself, and also everybody around me is innocent. At the same time, I have my other values to do my research, to do my background check, to do everything else. So these are very important. And also, if I want to excel and be sincere, I have to learn. So when I learn something, I'm very deep. If I go to business, I really take it seriously. For me, the life that we are living in, if you don't take something seriously, anything, if you do one step, if you don't go a couple of steps ahead of others will take your place. So it's very important, to have ambition, and also, with all of these personal traits, it helps you also to put the right strategy and plan, and to have a direction. You have to have a roadmap, some targets, and then milestones and phases that you go through. And that's the greatness of Dubai, because Dubai is a very open place. So we have the best brains coming from all around the world, and everybody and this is the place. It's a hub, for people to really excel, and that helps us a lot to be together. And I think one of the best thing about being from here and living here is that I don't have psychological barriers to deal with people from different nationalities. When I travel, many people, they have problem with the different people from different ethnicities or color. But for me, I don't have that thing. So this is all because by being ourselves. So that's the most important thing. Be ourselves, and my law applies to everybody's law, and vice versa.
Right. I see that now you have over time obviously developed a firm purpose.
Yeah.
And I gather your current interest is obviously museums. So from the values that you had and the cross-culture sensitization that you evolved yourself with, what is your purpose that is driving you, that creates this passion within you?
My passion for history, my love for history started from my grandfather's house. And,
right.
So I have inherited something from there, documents and, lots of things, things. It's not that they did not have collection. No, it was their lifestyle. I inherited a lot of that from them. And secondly, the trigger for history, because before, we're maybe misinformed that we have no history. For many people, always the focus on when people, if you read any literature, they talk about other countries. But when I was in the United States, and by my teacher, Dr. Joe Smith, he told me, Ahmed, you are from Dubai. I want your first research to talk about the economy of Dubai. And then he got me some books from there, from the university, from the library there. I'm talking about early ages. So when I read one of the book, it says there, Dubai, the Dubai Creek has been known since 3000 BC as a place for import and re-export between East and the West, West and the East. And that statement opened, a new horizon for me. So then I started doing research, and then I found the archaeological books we have here, other reasons. So what happened is that, so I linked with whatever I inherited, and I started developing my collection, gradually more and more systematic way. And always I focus on, the region, the city, the country, myself, my family, and then grow up, and the highlights. And I saw, after the collection, in 2006, actually, inside my house in the basement, I made a museum there. And
right.
Someone suggested to me, said, you have collection, put them one place. So when I put them there, it reflected my personality. So then the government, they told me, why don't you come outside? So they gave me the biggest house they had in one of the historical areas. So, and they called it Crossroads of Civilization for multiple reasons, because the museum reflects the true culture of the people here, of the country, and of its leaders and people. And also it's in the place where we have the oceans around it. From the Arabian Gulf, you have the Dubai Creek. So it was the place of a crossroads for other people. Thirdly, it reflects my personality, how a simple Emirati sees the world, how it sees it. So I see the beauties in other people there. And also from the stories I learned, most of the items are here historically through barter deal. Barter deals, they don't use monetary, they don't use currency. So yes. I see something, David, in your hand, I like it. Although maybe you don't speak the same language or from different ideological or religious background, but I see the beauty with what you have. And also you see the beauty in what I have. People used to exchange goods. And, so I learned that, before there was no United Nations, there were no embassies, there were no ambassadors, there were no unified language, or there was no globalization. Maybe perhaps there was a more positive globalization in the past. People were exchanging goods and exchanging their, positively among themselves without money. So then, I see that always whenever I have visitors coming from different perspective background, I see them coming to my museum and they see things from different religions, different cultures, and because, Dubai has multiple people from different religions, not from one religion or one sect. So I see their reaction. What I notice is that when they enter the museum, they put their hat of judgmental or hat of politics outside. They enter there enter the journey of history and try to find the beauties and the positiveness and also in the differences. And people try to link themselves there. Because in the museum, we're weaving the history of the world and of Dubai through whatever we have in the galleries there, because we believe the whole world is one mosaic picture. And every piece, every manuscript, every item will add value, will make the history of the world clearer. And I see people are very hungry and thirsty for that. Because I'm very lucky, I'm very luxurious place. So I have historical museum, so it's a gold mine by itself. So we have manuscripts from the 16th and 19th century. You have things go back even to the 4th century as manuscripts. And we have things not just from the region, but from different religions. We have from Judaism, from Christianity, from Islam. We have from Buddhism and other religions also.
Right. I fully understand and appreciate when you say the cross culture of people in that area, because in September of 2019, I had the privilege of being in Dubai and working there for a number of months, I should say. And in the course of doing that, in one of the sessions I did in the Marriott in Dubai, I had a room full of about 25 people, of which they came from 17 different countries. 25 people in a room, 17 different countries, and 7 of them or 8 of them were from the regions of Russia. And that surprised me, and it's interesting, primarily because they didn't come there for trade now. They've come there more for business and for employment and the opportunities that are there currently. My question now is, when you said 3000 BC, what were some of the things they were trading with back then? I mean, without currency, they were bartering, obviously, but what were some of the basics they worked with?
I mean, this necessity of life. The trade was things like you have things from bronze and from things from other items, potteries, beauty. The exchange of that's when we are part of the spice route there.
Yes.
And the creek is a natural port. Sometimes it's expanded, sometimes it's narrowed. It depends on how it's managed sometimes. And so people used to come there. And the beauty about it, when people bring their goods from far away, to a place which is very far away from them, they find, there should be some kind of norms of regulation. I don't want to call it law. Some kind of norms of regulation and some kind of values of hospitality that attracts them to come there. And there should be some kind of safety, and they can, somehow they feel home. And many items have found, for example, areas here and there, like have old coins, for example, that came later from Byzantine and Alexander the Great time. But before that, you have things like from China, from other places. It's just necessity of life, durable items there.
One of the things that I would like to drill down further is when you mentioned personality and then you started talking about commodities. You related to your home downstairs and how the museum was there and your personality and the type of items you had there. How would you link that? I mean, how did you appreciate and understand that sync there, the synchronity of a person's personality and the items, because it came from a culture or because it came from a region?
No, I think the culture of the country in terms of these items reflect, you have to appreciate when you have these items that reflects, try to know how did they make it at that time, based on the resources available there. There's personal touches, even in the old weapons, the handle, everything, there's personal touches in it, even in the weapons, which is, sometimes not considered a very positive thing. And you have personalities, you have it's the culture which bring people, for example, because of the nature of this region, always we have, things are coming from all around the world. When you are cosmopolitan in the middle of the world, always you have interaction with people. And we cannot deny, the originality of the ideas, how the design happened and the touches. Besides that, for example, we have areas here in the UAE, like, with our Saruq al-Hadid area, which is now is considered a desert, but it was not a desert before. And when Malayha, Sharjah, Nair, we have place for manufacturing gold and manufacturing potteries. That's 1000 BC. So when you talk about manufacturing, you are talking about from shifting from one phase to another phase. For example, if I want to design this cup, if I want to make it, I need to design it first. I need to think. I need to plan how to make it. Then I need to manufacture it. So that's by itself, an adding value. So you can see how people, based on the resources that they manage to become, innovative. As they say, necessity is the mother of all invention.
Yes.
And with that comes, that's also part of the innovation. And so personal touches are very important. And also we need to remember, through this museum, how the ancestors have lived their life. I mean, because of the hard time and because of what we live right now, the luxurious life in the world, the best life we are living right now, because of the process that our ancestors have gone through it from all around the world. So, and any technological advancement, any country, it's considered important for humanity, not only for that country, in any area. So, always we have to appreciate, whatever we have right now is based on multiple experiments and experiences, and accumulation of experience of others who made us reach that level that we can talk to each other from far away through, this technology.
Fabulous. If I can just pull you up a couple of levels and say, okay, can you just identify 3 key highlights in that journey of you developing the museum and collecting the artifacts, and then obviously placing them, having them marked, and having some history put to them? What could you identify as 3 major highlights that was so passionate to you?
We have, for example, we have Magic Ball, which is prayer ball. It's made by the Jewish community in the region, and it has 3 languages: the Aramaic, Judaism, and Arabic. So this is very beautiful, very unique in the region, according to the experts. So this piece is considered very unique, and it's from 2 hours and a half from our city. And so this is very beautiful highlight, which shows how people used to live in harmony, beauty. They have it shows the true culture. Secondly, we have one of the highlights I have is one of the oldest prints that mentions the name of our cities, Dubai and others, which was printed in the 16th century, in the year 1590. Because trader used to come here because of looking for pearls, and they wrote the place. They wrote Dubai, Ras Al Khaimah, Ajman. And we have the royal copy of which was by the order of the Duchy of Venice. We have that one to highlight. We have, for example, many other highlights. In every room have highlights. We have, for example, in science, in medicine, we have a very old manuscript, from 1601. Our copy is from 1601, the manuscript. It was from 14. The author have died in 1457. Umar ibn al-Wardi. Although he is a poet, we have lots of his poems. And the world is round, very beautifully drawn there. And we have in medicine, and we have in so many aspects, philosophy, and in literature and poem. For me personally, as a family, we have our own manuscripts, and which we have inherited. More than 200 poems, more than seven items, as books and others, which is only family related, and with the interaction with the region here.
If I drill down into that scribe that you mentioned about that came from Israel, and the 3 different, I'm sorry, the 3 different regions in there, how do you think that helped with the culture that you're trying to portray?
In terms of the museum is the reflection actually of the culture. The museum stems from the culture. And my culture is in congruency, and it goes side by side with the culture of the country and the city. And this is, I think we are living in the most successful example of multiculturalism, where people everyone excels in his or her way of life, and the place where you have lots of opportunities. And I'm very honored and proud to be from a culture of not developed, but it's good to be part of the developing. So always you have innovation. Always there is a room to grow. So because if once you reach the level of satisfaction, then you say then the diminishing happened there gradually.
Yes.
So that's why we are excelling, and we're going very fast. You have to continue. We have to excel. We have to get we have to get very we have to excel in a way that we can reach the level, to catch up and cope. And we are very flexible. This also one of the values that I forgot to mention is the flexibility. How can you cope and grow at the same time? We maintain our identity. It's very important for us to keep our identity. It doesn't matter wherever whichever position we have. Wherever we are, we do not change. Quality matters more than the number. And that's why we have guests from all around the world, and they are most welcome to come here.
I'm going to be a devil's advocate here. I'm going to ask you why. Why maintain that identity?
Because people did not come here because of money or because oil. Other countries are richer than our country. They came here because of values.
Yes.
And these values keep people together. These are the glue that if we lose them, we lose everything. You know, one of the side effects of economic development is what you call it, is the
values.
Losing of the values, the social aspect of life, society. So here, you know, from beginning, you know, we were aware, you know, because if you talk about development, you have to develop all sectors together. So each sector support the other sector. Also with development, you need to, you know, you want to make sure that, you know, there is a balance between them. That's why we always say we have comprehensive development across all cities, at the same time balanced. And so it will help us to assure us to get more sustainability there. And one of the important sectors is the sector of the cultural sector, the societal sector that makes us more and more, maintain these values that bring everybody together. And people, they love it here because they feel home. You know, people have friends from all around the world. I mean, you know, with India, we had one currency one time, you know, and we're still there, and people feel home. But the difference between people who live here than people who go outside, people always who come here, they have attachment to their home also. They like to maintain their identity. Not just us as the locals, even others, they like to take it. And we, you know, and we welcome different, you know, the beauty in the differences, and we welcome the differences. You know, as long as we have bear in our mind that, you know, all of us are equal, all of us, you know, have equal opportunity, and all of us, you know, can live in harmony and respect one another. I mean, this is heaven if you think about it. Comparing to, you know, other places in the Middle East, you know, at least, or the world, you know, instability. This is the key. Solidarity.
Excellent. How do you think this is maintained, primarily from a perspective of harmony that we're talking about, and retaining of value with the growth? We want change to take place, and obviously growth to take place. How do you think the individual now can look at it and say, okay, I come into your museum, I look at something that's there and relate it back to 200 BC or 2000 BC and say, you know, that's how the culture was, and this is where I am today. How do I create my identity, and where do I go with it?
So let me give you an example about that. You know, when we have, for example, before COVID, of course, when we had children, they used to come to the museum from different schools. Yes. These children come from, you know, different backgrounds. So when they come there, you know, each family, they teach their children about their values. And they are, for example, you know, here from different nationalities, when they come to a museum in Dubai with all luxury around us of that, they see something from their historical background, how that affects them positively, that boosts their confidence in themselves. Under the same roof, under the same roof, they see the beauties from different societies, different cultures. Unconsciously, they know that we are important. Each child will say that, you know, his family, his background, or her background is important. Simultaneously, others are also important. Unlike many other museums in the world, people say, oh, we are the greatest civilization, we are the greatest empire, we are the best, we are the first, all that. When you say that you are the best, by default, labeling others less. But the culture of the museum, the culture of Dubai, that everyone is important. So you are important, I am important, I can see our beauty. So I can, you know, me respecting my identity, me respecting my values, that makes me a great host for you, and vice versa. Same with you. But people who try to, you know, to eliminate themselves from their values, their roots, for whatever reason they have, I think they need to revisit that, because that will not help them to mingle more. Someone like me, you know, I have no psychological barrier to deal with others, because I know myself, I have my identity, I have my values, with all, you know, and the value, which is the value, you know, which is also goes along with my community. So I'm living in somewhere that, you know, I feel I am home and I feel home. Many people, you know, they congruent even tolerate such things. That's different story. And some because people are different, everywhere are different. But this level of congruency, you know, I cannot say, oh, I can respect one person, I cannot respect the other person. I can discriminate between them there. Once I do that, there's something wrong with me. So I always try to make sure that, you know, so as I told you, be yourself. As you, whatever you want, whatever you accept for yourself, accept for others. If you accept something for your children, you should accept for other children also. So, you know, this is very important.
Let me drill down to another aspect of decisions. And when you look at culture, you look at artifacts, and you look at your antiques that are there. decision making from you as an individual that owns a museum. How do you make a decision as to what you're going to bring on board that can show this cross sensitization? And when a person comes in, you know they're going to get some value out of it. What's the thing that goes through your mind for that?
I mean, always it's very important. What makes the museum or any place beautiful, or any item, is the provenance, is the stories.
Yes.
You know, how did it reach me? You know, it's not something I buy it from the shelf. The stories, why this was written. And frankly speaking, I always start, you know, with something, my priority, something that has to do with me, my family, my city, my country, and also the beauties from others. So whatever are, I try to find part of the criteria, the uniqueness, how distinct the item is also. You know, for example, we have Description of Egypt by Napoleon. You know, we have no link with him directly here, but you know, this is the first and maybe the only record in the whole world of a country made by one person. You know, imagine like from that time. You know, from what we have from the comprehensive volume from early 19th century. You know, which started that. So that discrimination that we have, you know, it reflects a great job. You know, with 160 scientists, then 2,000 French artists. You know, so this by itself, you know, it's a unique item. We have lots of items about the region, the interaction, different colonial power, different civilization came here, and frankly speaking, you know, most of the items that we have there, the books, the language sometimes about us is not very positive, but doesn't matter. It's the record, it's the history. It's not about me to be judgmental. It's about what we learn about the best. The whole idea: how can we capitalize on the strength from the past? How can we show the positive historical relationship between all of us? At certain point, but people go different phases in life. Also, how can we prevent the negativities? You know, life continues. We're not into denial. We are not into denial. You know, we know what happened in the past. We know things happen. Many of them are very bad, but we always, like, you know, like video dilemma, we always focus on negativities. But when you come to my museum, you can see much more positive things among civilizations, among different cultures, than, you know, the negative thing that we know. So
can you share, so I'm sorry to interrupt you at that point. Can you share some examples of how, you know, that is steering through with some stories and some artifacts?
We have, for example, the story of Alexander the Great, you know,
Right.
with the region here. You know, there's a book of Arian, which we have the first edition, which was in Greek language, translated to Latin, and then someone also got me the English so I can understand to read it. So, you know, in the museum, everything we have is original. First edition, even the photos must be original. So in that book, you know, when Alexander, when he defeated the Ahmenian dynasty and they went to India, you know, whatever happened there, they prevent him or not, but Alexander, the people of our region did not recognize him as a power. So he sent Narcos there, you know, the commander, to survey. I'm talking about the year 324 BC, you know, to survey the region. When after a year he came back, there were two reports. There were reported by Narcos, and also there was a report by the Greek. Okay, and he said, you know, you are describing, you know, like Phoenician civilization. So this information, like, we discover from these old books, very beautiful. And he was very angry, but then that lightened him up. You know, like, he's dealing with very civilized people. We have the story, as I told you, of Gaspar Balbi, who came from Venice 10 years looking for pearls. So and one of the areas, most of the cities in our area, he mentioned in his book in the year 1590. So it shows the importance of the region in terms of trade. We have other stories of the maps. You know, we have a story of the travel. You know, most of the people who came to our region, you know, by mistake actually, because, you know, either the ship was wrecked, you know, or something happened. We have 1792 book of you know, the Sounders, the first Americans from United States encountered with us. Many people, they come, they have their pre-perception, but always they talk about, you know, our hospitality. They say, oh, they can, you know, steal from you, but they keep their word. They, you know, you can trust them. You know, there are lots of values that we have. They keep. They say, for example, the Arabs, you cannot humiliate the Arab if you want to deal with it. We have all of these records coming from there. Lots of positive. The maps, which record our, you know, our rights in many other places in the world. You know, and there are lots of stories. The book of Pliny, we have the first English edition, Plinius the Great Traveler. And he talks, you know, if you want to, and he mentions very beautiful in his book, if you want to talk about the Arabs, you cannot talk to them about them as a tale of civilization. You know, their civilization has extended from the Indus to the Sicilies. So we have lots of things, you know, people don't know about it. People only hear the negative thing. But when you go deeper, you hear there are lots of, you know, positive stories, positive things which was exchanged between cultures.
Right, right. It's interesting. You, pardon me, you touched on the subject of the value in relation to the Americans coming aboard, and you can trust their word. And it's interesting. It's ironical because yesterday I put out a post on words and character and your conscience. You know, the three dimensions in which a person's value is built on. And today you're touching on that, and we had never connected on that. So, you know, that in itself is a base foundation, in my view, of how the whole dynamics of an identity is created for an individual. You know, those are the cornerstones that create an identity. If you can't trust word of a person, it's a pointless exercise. And the Americans could foresee that way back when they came over to your region.
And you can see, you know, as history is very important for identity. You can people who get away from history, and we learn. You know, the best presidents in the world, they have background history. They have to have a background history, and so through history, it will boost our confidence in ourselves, our self-image, our self-esteem. It will help us to have a high self-esteem, and also it will make us appreciate what we have in our hands. So it will make us more because we are learning from our past, and it helps us, but we cannot neglect the past. We need to only learn how not to detach, not to be like ostrich, hide our head under the ground and start kicking with our legs and blindly and kicking ourselves.
Exactly.
We need to really, become like rhinos, as they say, or become, forward thinking, like a falcon. Falcons, they prey, they don't eat the dead meat, and they have a vision, and they use it decently.
Fabulous, very true. Drilling down further, can you identify areas that you had huge objections when you were setting this museum up, and how did you overcome those?
You mean objections or challenges? You mean
challenges? Sorry, I'll reframe that. Challenges.
Okay. I was very happy when I was invited to come outside, and the challenges was. In the Middle East, mostly, most of the historical museums are made by governments, mostly, and only other things. So there is a challenge of the narratives. Sometimes you have, and the challenge of being pioneer. Like for example, I am as a person. I'm not in the government. I reflect a true culture of a person, and of a Marathi person, of a person there. So I have things from the highlights that I have, the beauties of different perspectives, is very beautiful to make it there. So always, I think most of the challenges can be psychological challenges by people, and also how to make the narratives. So that was the one. How can I bring all of the differences, weave it together into one museum? That's number one. Number two, how can I maintain these items, to be frankly, because these houses which I have, where we are right now, these houses were built originally for people to live in, not for museums. How can I create the environment for that? How can I maintain and prolong the life of the items there? Their being with me is much better, and very good temperature and everything, better than being in a storage and the humidity or being neglected. So to reflect it there. And thirdly, I am the creator myself. So I don't use, perfect the specialist. And many people have different perspectives. People who criticize, sometimes they are either creators or people who are professionals. I believe, when you come to my house and I serve you coffee with my hand, it has greater meaning than I bring a catering company to serve you Arabic coffee in my house. Yeah. So museum is not about perfection. Museum is about beauty. Here we are living in a luxurious place. Everything must be perfect. Everything must be beautiful. Everything must be to set the standard. And but we have two different kinds. People from outside, they love the museum because it reflects the true values, the culture. They understand the history, where the vision of the country, of the leadership, where it comes from. They see the link between that. And but the challenge when some people who are used to perfection, they have to have excellent things. So my museum is considered very simple museum. It's about you coming there by yourself, making your own idea about the history of the regional city. So you'll understand. My museum, I don't talk about certain religion, but specifically, I don't talk about specific, culture. It's about the whole world. It's about the culture of inclusion, culture of respecting each other, culture of harmony, culture of accepting one another, and a culture of accepting the differences, and how can we see each other in a way that complement one another. So that culture is the culture of where I am from, which is from Dubai, the UAE. Is the culture that I value, and this culture will not be sustained, these values, if there's no leadership support.
Right.
You can have it in law, by law, you can have it in books, but if this culture is not practiced by the leadership, people will not follow that. Always the culture cascades from leadership.
Yes.
And vice versa.
It's a top-down approach.
Exactly. When it comes to culture, anyway, and and the values. The most important thing is that we really live the values, and the culture here encourages people to adhere to the values. You can maintain your beliefs. Some people have different perspective about one another, but keep it for yourself. But when you come outside, you have to respect others. You have to accept others. So there is a balance between the deeper belief. If the person wants to live in harmony here, must have this kind of compatibility between what's inside and outside. But if people they don't have that, many of them cannot. They'll try to go in hiding, on closure.
Exactly. We've gone through the challenges. Let's look at now, how do you come out and do some collaborative work in ensuring that museum is enhanced, and at the same time, artifacts and the culture is well sustained for that synchronity that you want to start with?
Well, first of all, we have digitized everything we have to make sure this, the world will share with the Jum'a Majid Center. It is a center. He's our greatest philanthropist in the region, and he built more than 40 labs all around the world for free and trained people to digitize, to spread the knowledge. So everything we own is available for the public. So we have nothing not available. This is number one. So this will assure the continuity of the idea. Secondly, we participate in different exhibitions, and also we collaborate with many institutions, with universities. We do exhibitions about the relationship, and our exhibitions, and even the one which we do because we have 3 museums. The Old Weapons Museum also shows the positive aspect, not the negative aspect. With the other, we participate in different events. We did, for example, one of the events that we did was very beautiful. Is the relationship between Europe and the Middle East from 16th to 19th century. That was very important, I think, and and we showed the other aspects, not only the one tiny aspect, negative one. Secondly, we have December 6th. We have built a very important event between Israel and the UAE, and that was in our museum. It talks about the title was Rebuilding the Abrahamic Tent, with historical kinship and future alliance. And we did the event, and we brought people from all aspects, cultural, societal, religious, to talk about it, to talk about the event. And also we made an exhibition to show the presence of the Jews in the region, because many people, they don't know that the Jews and the Arabs are actually they're brothers more than cousins originally. They come from Ishaq and Ismail, and they have the same father. And also they are they are tribes like us. We have tribes, they have tribes. And and they are not foreigners. They were in the Middle East. So all of this part of the event that we have, so it was there. So we did a big exhibition to show the different communities of Jews who were here in the MENA region, not just Middle East, in the MENA, Middle East and North Africa, and we participate in different activities with the schools, and also the values of the museum. UNESCO and other places, they love the place, the museum. And they consider it as one of the important place for, they call it, tolerance and and harmony.
Right. Realizing where you are with a museum and how change takes place constantly in the environment, what has your museum, and at the same time museums in general, done to accommodate this transformation, the change, so people can reach for it from wherever they are in the globe, rather than being able to present themselves in person at a museum?
As we have the museum, as a try to promote such culture, and that others are also doing so. There are lots of programs in the country here, and we always outreach. And we go give lots of talks outside. We participate with exhibitions, but the present, I think, through museum you can really bridge between people much more, faster, because in museums, people, as I told you, they keep their other mentality outside. When they come there, when they read the story of the Crossroads civilization, when they visit our website, we have like a few languages there. They understand, the values. So it open up. It's totally different perspective about what people know about. So we participate. Go ahead.
Yeah, you just hit the nail on the head. You said website. Now, what else are you doing in the digital arena to fast forward this so the reach is wider, like what we had? Let me just share a story. About April last year, I was asked by a couple of companies to do some online work because of the morale that was happening with lockdowns and all of that. We don't want to go down that path, but one thing that we did was the increase in online sessions that were conducted, which people were surprised that they could work from home, when for years they've been making proposals to their company. I want to work from home, but the companies were question mark, question mark, question mark. Can I trust the employee? Credibility. Now I'm asking you the question: how can this reach further than being present in your room, in your museum?
That's why I told you during COVID we did this digitization. That was the
Yes.
best time for the whole museum. I'm talking about 3 museums. Every book, every manuscript, every paper, everything is digitized. So
Yes.
this was available, through Jumaa Majid Center, because they are the big hub. They are very important. They are the one much more. So we have association with them, and they have the full right, to share with people what we have. Also, people, university, the researchers for PhD, whether from US or from Europe or even from some countries from the region, they come for research. They come to our museum, so it's available. We have no restriction for people to take, information and copies and use it in their research. Now we're going to have, with that digitization, we're going to make things available. We have other ideas for that. Now we have also a team, in marketing also available. As you know, I focus myself on trying to have everything original in the museum, and that's a tough job. And I don't have different departments. Like, other places they have department of communication, department of legal, department, the work that we are doing, although step by step, many people in the region also, they copycat what we do. They copycat even the country here. So the narrative of the museum has great influence on many other institutions which were created after it, and many concepts. So it doesn't matter the size, I said. What matters is the quality. The quality and the message is very, very well sent, and we see the benefit of it. I mean, we started the museum for the public before it was a private museum, but public since 2012, when the UNESCO came in October 2013. We got February 2013 we got our license, and 2015 kindly the government they gave me 2 more houses. I made 2 more museums. So we have 3 museums there. I think the museum and whatever we have, for example, we have the multi-faith room, monotheistic about Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. We have things from Israel, from the region, other places. We have things, it started there. And when the peace happened, this museum, for many people who come from Israel, for example, for them, they feel home. It's just like, they feel, because they see things beautiful in their house. Same, we have things from other countries. As I said, the children, when they come here, they love it. They love to be close to the history. And it is very simple, very humble museum, but it's powerful in message, and it's powerful in its genuity. It's very genuine. It reflects the culture, and people love to be exposed to welcoming culture.
Yeah, you touched something that's very close to my heart, which is the peace agreements. Now, I wanted to elaborate a bit more on that. Using the culture, using the museum, how has peace agreements or the interaction between our brothers in that region enriched their living standards?
I mean, for the peace agreement, it was the leadership will from both countries. Yeah, and that was very beautiful. So that was very important. As we say, this is Middle East. Leadership is very important. Religion is also important, and the culture is important, and the relationship is very important. We are based on kinship, so we are based on culture of honor and shame. So it's our job. How can we translate the leadership agreement into tangible evidence?
Right.
So I think as our museum was lucky enough that we had the vision from beginning, because we know this happening. Because I'm talking here about the United Arab Emirates, where you have more than 200 nationalities. And Dubai is one of the cities of that. We have multiple cosmopolitan areas in the country. So in this place where you have more than 200 nationalities and ethnicities, you have people, Israel and the Jewish people, they are part of it, whether they are Jews or Jewish, but they are part of this culture. And they have been with us. I have friends here from more than 40 years, who are Jewish living here with us. So
Right.
That decision was political decision, what happened as a political decision between countries. These are sovereignty. But the people, we had relationship, with people living here. And what happened is that with this peace agreement, this museum is a place where it shows the people, because many people, they come from Israel, other countries, they think the museum is new. It was made yesterday. They don't know. There's no way in a few months you can make such museum. But they get surprised because people, when they don't have communication, there was virtual wall between us and them. So lots of stereotype, lots of misperception. Based on multiple factors. Good or bad or good, myth or reality or myth. It doesn't matter. But what matters is that when it happened, this paved the way, because this shows the involvement of the public. Because for any peace to be successful, you have the public to be there successful. So so we have leadership decision and policy, and then that cascaded down to the people, but everything. So me and my culture and my specialty, we did the museum, which is a platform, but everyone is in their own culture. So. And that's what I told you. The success of our country is we have the congruency between the leaders and the people, the compatibility. We are going. Everyone is excelling in his or her specialty. At the same time, the direction and the will is there, and definitely this will make this peace sustainable. I'm sure there will be lots of hiccups in the middle, and that's normal. But people are learning how to deal with each other and how can we make this one step, because people are committed from both sides.
Right. Ahmad, I appreciate where you're coming from in relation to congruency and the synchronity of culture. What are you currently doing strategically to ensure that this is continued on a long-term basis and sustained, not just from what you're putting together, but from the reach that you want to get it out to the people and the masses out there in other countries?
I think, for example, we have lots of ideas at work. My background also economics. So we also worked in the economic
Exactly. That's why I'm asking you this question as a strategist. Can you just point your finger to it?
I think for this piece or any agreement to sustain, we have to really, because we are the most two successful countries in the region, Israel and the UAE. We're always forward thinking in the region. Always forward thinking. We think, we learn from the past, but we move forward. Our strategy is not about the past; it's about the future. So we need to come up with projects with quick gains for the people in the region, especially the youth. They have to really see the adding value of this piece. We need people to know. Before we used to deal with each other through third countries, third parties. How can we be more effective and efficient by dealing with one another? Thirdly, we need to implement ideas. Like different models, productivity models. Can use growth models. Models that will make us to work. How can we disseminate or cascade this? The wealth of knowledge and experience that we have in different sectors. Whether they have technology, we have in trade. We are traders. Nobody can compete with us as traders. It doesn't matter. But we can together with that we can outreach the world and the region. I think our test will be how can we make the people of the different countries in the region, help them to build economies, not to find jobs, not to create jobs. There's no way we can create jobs. We want to create economies that generate jobs by default, by itself, something by self-generating jobs. So that's what we want to focus on, and it's very important. So that's why lots of talks is happening. I mean, only in 3 months, the trade between Dubai and Israel, only one city, was almost $277,000 million, which is $1 billion almost. It happened. So things are moving very fast. People can see that our trade diplomacy, our public diplomacy, our governmental diplomacy, we have we have been very successful in multiple areas of making this peace happen. And I think we are seeing the spillover on many people from this peace in the region. So as long as this commitment is there, and our job, how can we translate it into reality? And it's happening, it's taking place. So many economic activities should really add value to the people in the region. When I talk about the region, not the Middle East, MENA countries, Middle East and North Africa. So, and I see committed people from both sides. And we have many, so far, our experiences has been very beautiful. And I think what's missing right now, the challenges, is because people have not been with each other for a long time. So there's some kind of psychological barrier, misperception, stereotype, lots of, other things. I think, but they're learning. They're learning how to be with each other. And we have to have strategies to overcome such negative psychologies or negative barriers available and come with projects that makes us move forward.
Excellent. Conscious awareness to unconscious awareness.
Yeah, exactly.
Powerful. Yes. Coming down, how are we going to reflect this through the education system such that the up and coming future leaders have this value instilled in them, that the need to search for such areas to improve the education? Because my philosophy of education is not just a mainstream education. I have what I call 3 E's to education, and that's in my book, which is mainstream education. The second form of education is experience, which is role models from others, which we can cut, copy, paste. And the third, which is extremely important, is exposure, which is what you're doing to the museum. Now, how can this be cascaded down to the real education system so they can pick it up and template it and start passing it on to the kids such that they can see value, they can build on values from ground base?
I mean, I think anywhere in the world, the education system should be very visited and revisited in a way that see how they add value to the world. That's why when they talk about the growth model, when you have
Exactly.
The productive model between link between academia and industry and the government is very important, so they can move there. So this has to be the mechanism should be there. In theories, they are available, but in reality, some places they have challenges. This is number one. Very important also from, if I may say, since you are from Australia and to many people who are advanced, they have to think, how can they share the knowledge with others? Enough of creating consuming societies. They have to teach people how to share know-how so they can take leadership of building their countries. And you have, you want people not to knock your door for jobs. Let them, teach them how to build their sectors. You cannot just only want to become consumers. So it's very important. If you want to talk about peace in the world, let people be busy building their sectors. They know how they set the standard specification, how they can design and then make their thing. Let them be involved, and manufacture or develop things there. So that's what's missing. I mean, and unfortunately, in the last decades, or the last 2 or 3 generations, is controlled by people who only want to make the whole world consumers. The distribution of wealth. I mean, and we have imbalance, of wealth in many places between, many countries. So people, it's very sad, that I can enjoy drinking coffee here, and some people dying because they don't have water. Every time I drink coffee, I have to remember, whose water I've taken. So it's very important to think of these things. So if people have, and politicians should also think of, have long-term strategic decisions in that area. So education is important, but education, as they say, one hand, cannot clap. You have to also think of other aspects of society. Yeah. So it's very important to include all. So and we have to create people who are resilient, who are willing to learn, and also capable to work. As you know, you are my teacher. As you know that we have each one of us, have knowledge and have our talents and capabilities. How can we develop that and then enhance it with the skills and with knowledge? So if these 4 aspects of human being. So things that we have inherited, but how can we, education should be tailored to make people, to get the best out of the people so they can excel. They cannot excel if they have to learn or study something to serve others, not themselves. So each one of us is very unique. So it has not reached that model. People talk in theory, but until now they couldn't make it.
Yeah, you see, that's one of the prime reasons, Ahmad, as you would know, and I shared with you a number of times, is my trips back from Australia to India was to make sure, rather than just give charity, I wanted to show people how to fish. And in so doing, they're able to sustain tomorrow's meal on the table, rather than saying, I've got some education, And a lot of people don't realize that. You got to go into the trenches to dig. And you cannot sit at home and sit in front of a YouTube or sit somewhere and get some theory and then go and be a coach, trying to coach people. That doesn't work that way. and one of the key things that you and I, working in the trenches, can understand and appreciate, this is where long-term sustained education is going to go, meaning from experience and from role models. No other way.
You have to provide them what they want. In any country, I've seen people criticize education system in any country, but see, education system, whatever it is, the whole idea is to we have to prepare a person to be capable to learn and to and willing to learn and capable to work and to, that's very important. It's not a cap, the ceiling, and then provide them in the environment, the job environment, the training. The trainings are very important. The coaching to transfer their skills from academia to the real world. So I think we lose people in that area between academia and the real world. We lose the people in that area. There are internship programs, there are others, but not all companies are, everyone is ready for that. So suddenly, from being nurtured in education schools, as they say, in the school you can make any mistakes you want to make, but suddenly they are accountable for every mistake they make. So that transition, we are not good in transitions. That's very important to work in this. The world needs to have systems. How they can transfer people smoothly there, and but you cannot also, for example, teach a person, and he or she studying, and then you tie their hands, from back and legs, and tell them, and throw them in the water, ask them to come swimming. So the environment, the culture should make them really, unleash their power.
Yes. And that's one of the things that I like when we talked about your museum, that, it's hands-on and people are seeing and learning a culture as they transform in their age groups. And, as you can go through, that's basically what the fundamentals of what we're talking about in relation to education, transformation of culture, passing the baton on for the next generation, so forth. Hey, Ahmad, it's been a great pleasure. I mean, I'm surprised an hour is gone talking with you without even realizing how the time runs.
Thank you very much for that.
I truly appreciate your time and what you have contributed to the community. And we look forward to other topics that we can discuss downstream as we go through in our journey of, exposing a lot more to people. Thank you so much, Ahmad. And I wish you a safe trip staying in Dubai with taking care of COVID, and the rest of the family are well and safe. Take care. God bless you. Help you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Ciao for now. Thank you, audience. All the same.